Good morning and welcome to Empower and Thrive Hub. I am Jacqueline, your host. Welcome to this channel. We have made 50 subscribers. I know it sounds very tiny, it sounds like nothing, but honestly, I'm grateful for each and every one of you subscribers. And I really hope that you are finding value in what I have to share. Thank you so much. Now, imagine a situation where there is an emergency and we are living in Europe. For those of us living in Europe, in UK, and we are so used to our creature comforts, we are used to electricity, we are used to water, we are used to jumping into the shops in and out and getting everything we need. Everything is just like that. Now, this advice to stockpile for food and to put aside emergencies such as water, survival kits such as emergency and health kits, first aid kits, a radio, and a torch, for instance, and to actually stockpile for food as well and have tinned items in our homes is not new. And but a few days ago, the government brought it back into the highlight, into news, and it's saying that things such as cyber attacks, of which we've had many, there's been numerous cyber attacks. The National Health Service has had its systems attacked, for instance, and a lot of data has been lost. So a lot of people have no data anymore. The National Health Service in United Kingdom had to start going back to actually writing up. So what does that actually tell us and tell the National Health Service, tell the United Kingdom? That perhaps we have to go back to writing our information down. As individuals, even our own phones, when we lose a phone, we're almost like losing our minds. We've got contacts on there, we've got data, we've got videos, we have got photographs, we've got so much on there, but we don't have it written on hard copy. So that's a loss of information. Now we are looking at things such as loss of power, inability to actually buy food, inability to perhaps for even farmers, for instance, to transport food back and forth because of something may be happening in the environment. Maybe there's a natural disaster. God forbid that these things should happen. But I started to think about it, and it took me back to 1971 when my family had to flee Uganda during the Civil War, the breakout of the Idi Amin government. Now, many of my relatives, many actually stayed in Uganda, and they went through the whole war. I don't know how. I was much younger then, but speaking to some of them, definitely there were numerous challenges that they had to face. Some of them went to the village. The village I come from is near the border of Sudan. The people from my village come from nearer the border of Sudan. So, and that side was a lot safer. Certainly, in the deeper side of the village was safer than being, for instance, in Kampala, in the main city. Now, my own family left the country, and how we left, I believe I told this story in another video, but we were in boarding school and we had to be collected. All we could hear was gunshots. Now, I'm going to cut that short because it's a story for another day. I don't want to go too deep and divert on the topic. But it made me think how well prepared we are. How well prepared we are as immigrants in United Kingdom. At that time, it made me think back, how well were my parents and our family prepared for the Civil War? Yes, the Civil War was there, and it gradually things began to escalate, and it eventually got dangerous that we had to flee. But how about those of us who are in the United Kingdom now as immigrants? When we sit down and we look at ourselves and our situation, how prepared are we for any eventuality here in the United Kingdom? We are having threats from from the Russian government. We are having the Ukraine war that has caused so much civil unrest, and everything has leaked into the West. There are numerous suspected spy devices being found underwater, for instance. Gas has shot up because United Kingdom gets much and part of its gas from Ukraine, I believe, and perhaps even Russia. Correct me if I'm wrong. But how prepared are we? How do we believe or think that if a war, God forbid, should break out, and I pray against it, do we some of us feel, do we perhaps think that maybe we would perhaps flee back to our original countries that we are from? I don't know about anybody else, but it has crossed my mind. Why has it crossed my mind? Because, like I said, I look back at how prepared my own family were at the time. And fleeing was one of, fleeing away was the main option. It finally became the only option. There was no other way. And one of the reasons was because my father was in the government at the time. And I think that's why we had to leave the country completely. Otherwise, perhaps we could have also fled to the far village. But even there, if you're known already, the news could travel at that time that that person is in that place. Go there and find him there. I was speaking to somebody at work sometime, an African actually, and I said, "How are you preparing, or are you preparing for this advice for us to stockpile food, for us to prepare to have batteries, to have a light, to have a torch, for instance? How are we preparing?" She said, "Oh, she doesn't believe in it." She said, "I don't believe in all that. It's not going to happen." But the thing is this, I was quite puzzled because a government is issuing an advice, and can we actually say that we don't believe in it? Is it right for us to believe or think that something like that cannot happen? She said, "Oh, she'll go back to her country." I'm not going to mention the name of the country. She said she'd go back to her country. And I thought, okay, it's not a bad idea, honestly. And like I said, it has crossed my mind before. So I've put my passports in one place, and I rely on God first and foremost. I've put everything which I believe are the most crucial and perhaps memorable things in one place, so that if anything, if an eventuality should occur, I'm grabbing it and I'm going. But then I put myself on a halt and I said, what if you can't go anywhere? Because the thing is this: even if, let's say, God forbid, such an eventuality were to occur, is it that simple by to go past an airport? What if the aerospace was closed, for instance, for any flights coming into the country or going out? What what then, would occur? Because it, let's say, God forbid, also that the electrical system in the country was affected, and uh, the flight operators, the flights could not be controlled from the controlling, stations, from the controlling officers. The flights could not be directed. The pilots could not be directed to go because systems were affected. What then? The reason I'm doing this video is just to make us think. I'm not doing it to be an alarmist. No, I'm not doing this to be an alarmist. I'm doing the video because I believe that there was a calling that led me to actually do this video. We are being advised to stockpile tinned items, and that brings me again to say, as Africans who like cooking food from fresh, we like to buy everything fresh and cook it. I know there are some things that we now use, and honestly, for instance, I use tinned beans. I use canned tomatoes. Many of us use that. Are we prepared to put cans aside? Do we always even have the extra funds after we've done a weekly shop, after we've paid our bills and everything else, after we've paid rents and mortgages? Some people are saying that people don't always even have extra to actually buy extra food to actually put away. So we are being advised to gradually pile up stock. And by the way, I'd just like to tell people, I'll put a link for where you can actually buy water jugs, water containers. They are jerry cans. We use them a lot in Uganda. In most African countries, these jerry cans are used to store water because of the water shortages that may occur, so that there's a backup of water supply. Now, I think these things can happen whether there was a warning or not, or whether there was a disaster or not, or whether anything else is happening or not. Water could be lost. Um, and water, we are very blessed here in the UK with Thames Water, particularly, who are forever upkeeping the water systems, the drainages, and everything. Those are always, if not regularly, always checked and kept up. And we are so blessed, and I'm grateful for that. Electricals. For some of us, we've used candles and we've used torches in Africa growing up. Do we have these things in our houses? Because those things could make a huge difference if there could be a loss of power and of water, for instance. This could be really huge. So torches that have batteries in them, for instance, matches and candles that you could light if there wasn't any electricity. And another thing that I had one time, some years ago in a summer, I remember there was a vandalism of the power systems here in Kent. So we are still looking, at UK here. There was a vandalism, and it went on, I believe, for 3 days. So food was destroyed in the fridge, which they eventually refunded. And I remember not being able to use my cooker as well. So I had like a barbecue, one of these small ones that you get from the pound shop, just flat with a bit of charcoal. And I was able to prepare something quick on it, prepare some meats and burgers, just to keep us going. I was able to warm something, on that barbecue, because I couldn't cook, because the microwave couldn't be used either. The kettle couldn't be boiled, so it was an exceptionally challenging time. The water was there though, so that was okay. But these are the things that I'm just beginning to think about, and hopefully yourselves as well could be thinking about ahead of time. Now, thank you so much. That's what I had for you on this video. Um, Interaction would be good and appreciated. Thank you. Please do like the video, and do share the video. Um, Help me reach more subscribers. Help me reach more subscribers and watchers. Until next time, God bless you, and bye bye.